It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host. Got a kind of an interesting morning. We're going to cover a number of different areas that are important as we move forward into the issues surrounding Obamacare, the debt, and perhaps even more importantly, the push for immigration. If you're not aware of it, there are a lot of mega corporations out there right now which are pushing exceedingly hard for an immigration reform in the form of this comprehensive immigration that basically gives amnesty. And what I find the most troubling about that is, and it's kind of clear what the issues are, as these companies who are pushing so hard for immigration are lobbying the House, especially the House, because it's a foregone conclusion. It's already passed the Senate. So now they're beating the tar out of these House representatives. And these mega companies, while they're doing that, are simultaneously laying off and firing workers at an astounding rate. I mean, we're talking like 5-digit firings, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 80,000 Americans who are being fired from these same companies that are pushing and lobbying and demanding Congress pass immigration, all so that they can hire newly minted Americans under the immigration bill at a rate that would be far lower than they had to pay their old employees. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it that business is in the business to make money. But, you got to have some loyalty to your country. You've got to have some loyalty to the free enterprise market that allowed you to become a behemoth in the first place. And so I stand my ground where I say no immigration until the border is independently, verifiably sealed. And all illegals have registered. After that, we can have any discussion you want. But first, we have to stop the bleeding. First, we must stop the bleeding. And the bleeding is a wide open border that allows literally thousands of immigrants a day to pour over the border. And now that the word is out that immigration is a potential possibility to get approved, they're pouring over the border at an even higher rate. And President Obama, meanwhile, has essentially told the Border Patrol under the government shutdown issue to stand down. Folks, that is about as dangerous a pill as one can take. And I've got to tell you, I find it reprehensible that would be the case. While these corporations are laying off and firing workers, they're simultaneously literally beating up House representatives in an effort to try to seek a lower income-based worker that will do the same work for less money, and these are not American citizens. I got to tell you, I find that behavior intolerable. We're going to give you a partial list of some of the names of those companies so that you can understand who the enemy really is here. I mean, I understand profit. I understand the marketplace. I understand a desire to to have a balance sheet that shows positively. I don't understand the lack of loyalty to the nation that gave you your start, that gave you the wherewithal and the ability to become a monster company, that gave you the ability to and tax breaks and the commerce and the employee base, and frankly, the consumer base that makes your product successful. Now you turn around at the 11th hour and 59th minute when we need you most, and you betray us. All right, our second segment is going to be talking about Obamacare premiums. The word is out. There's a lot of Obamacare premiums that people are getting letters from their existing healthcare providers. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the absurdity of the one-size-fits-all plan. I mean, just imagine if they said to you that jeans only came in a size 50 waist, and everyone had to buy a pair of jeans. That pair of jeans would cost you $500. You're only allowed to wear them twice a day, but you must wear them you're only allowed to wear them 2 hours a day, but you must wear them every day, and you must own a pair. Go figure. Who would be happy with that? Our third topic is going to be how China has stepped up and officially warned the U.S. on the $1.3 trillion of investment that they have in our treasuries. The clock is ticking, according to the Chinese minister. And if the U.S. fails to break the deadlock over the government shutdown and the fast-approaching debt ceiling, they're getting nervous. And they should be. Quite frankly, I think it's time that we as a nation put China on the back burner and said to them, it's not really your call to make. You're safe. We've got more than ample income to handle the debt, payments that are necessary on that, the interest payments that are due on that. So China, mind your own business. Go back to your little hut and leave us alone. We'll settle it ourselves. Our fourth topic is going to be the new IRS news that's out today, where officials within the IRS, including Lois Lerner and many others, were using private email accounts to send personal, confidential tax data over these email accounts in an obvious attempt to violate the law, in an obvious attempt to keep secret certain things that they didn't want anyone else to know about. So we're going to start out this morning with our topic here on Washington and the pressure that is being placed on our representatives in the House. You know, the immigration debate has been kind of falling on the backside of things over the course of the last month or two. It passed the Senate. The immigration bill that passed the Senate is horrifically unconscionable in the sense that, one, it provides for amnesty. Two, it provides for chain immigration, meaning that anyone that you're even remotely related to can come over. Third, it allows the individuals within that group to apply for health care and all this other stuff. And it does provide amnesty. Not to mention, it's full of pork barrel spending for scumbags like Harry Reid, who got a $100 million bonus. Here it comes, folks. A $100 million bonus inside that bill for casinos in Vegas. Now, what has that got to do with immigration? See, that, ladies and gentlemen, is what pisses off Americans. We're sick and tired of being played by scumbags like Harry Reid. Why would you inject $100 million Benny to Vegas casinos? Oh, that's right, Harry. You're from Las Vegas. You're from Nevada. I forgot. So what, the payoff is in the till so that these people will support you on your next re-election campaign? You're paying them with our taxpayer dollars. You're bribing them with our taxpayer dollars to benefit you personally. And that, Mr. Reid, is reprehensible. You are reprehensible as a human being. Forget the fact that you're a representative of a state and a representative of a nation, and you're holding the entire Senate hostage. Yes, I'll use your word, Mr. Bomb Thrower. So immigration has taken a back seat to all these other issues, including Obamacare and the debt and all this other nonsense. Well, the truth of the matter is, while immigration has been taking a back seat, they haven't been, it hasn't been forgotten by the players involved. There are a lot of individuals in the House, Ryan, by the way, included in that group, who are working on immigration because they fear, these are the conservatives now, the alleged conservatives in the House, because they fear that if they don't pass some kind of comprehensive immigration reform, they will lose an election in their state. With all due respect to you people, I don't understand why you don't get it. You see, here's the problem, America. They consider you, the conservative listener of this program, to be in their pocket. So now they're out looking for new fodder, new crop. And they consider the Hispanic population that new crop. What they don't realize is that Hispanics will not vote for them anyway, no matter how many bennies they give them. The Hispanic immigrants who come into this nation are fundamentally opposed, diametrically opposed, to the principles of the conservative coalition, if you will. And, you know, sitting there trying to buy their vote with amnesty and our tax dollars is incomprehensible to me. They're betraying their base to build a new base that won't even be loyal. It's ridiculous. But there are well-organized groups out there, and these are some of the biggest names in business, who are quietly lobbying and pressuring these representatives to accomplish this. Now, they read like a who's who. Michael Bloomberg from Bloomberg, that's a news outlet and a financial news organization, and he's also the mayor of New York City. He's also the head of the nanny state. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is actually planning to spend $50 million of his own money in an advertising blitz. You know why? He wants to hire cheap labor. And here's the problem. They've set their sights on these GOP lawmakers who are from the conservative states like North Carolina, Texas, Florida. And they're recruiting local business leaders in these chambers of commerce, the federal chamber, the National Chamber of Commerce, and localized chambers of commerce in major cities to convince them that they should have a unified front going forward, that immigration's a good thing for business. I reject that theory. It may be good for their bottom line, but it's not good for America. And what's not good for America is ultimately not good for business. If we're all living in poverty and the entire base of the wage base of the nation is pushed down as a result of literally millions of brand newly minted legal workers, if you will. I don't know what you want to call them. What that tells you is that those self-same people who are supporting your company by buying your product will not have the money to do so. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. At the end of this month, they want to reignite talks. Right after the debt thing and blows over and the Obamacare thing falls by the wayside, they want to open up talks again publicly. In the meantime, these mega corporations are in there beating the tar out of these guys, trying to pressure them to do the wrong thing. Wrong by America, wrong by their oath, wrong by their states, wrong by their constituents. Let me remind you, conservatives who or alleged conservatives who are in these states with high immigration, The illegals living within your state, they're not your constituents yet. So stop pandering to them. These special interest groups and lawyers and immigration lawyers, why would you fall for an immigration lawyer lobbying you? He stands to personally get a benefit from that. It's unbelievable. These groups are they actually belong to a group called the Partnership for a New Economy, a New American Economy. Yeah, a new American economy where there's two levels of people, the elites and the serfs. And by the way, for the record, those of you who are listening to this, you're all on the peasantry list, okay? Microsoft. News Corp, owned by Rupert Murdoch. That's the home of Fox News, the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. Now you know why Fox isn't pushing hard back on immigration. Rupert Murdoch, the alleged conservative in charge of the alleged conservative Fox News, is pushing for immigration. No wonder O'Reilly and Hannity and all of that group are not pushing hard against it. Their boss is telling them lay off. That's why I call them the Ministry of Propaganda, because they're not really true Americans. They are feeding you a propaganda lie. And they're using the bully pulpit of the media to accomplish that task. And it's subtle, folks. It's not blatant. It's subtle. Last night, O'Reilly had that guy Gutierrez on. I mean, the guy is an amazing monster for immigration. And he talked with him, about his new book and all that nonsense, but he didn't really press the issue of immigration. Forward.us, FWD.us. That's a group that includes Zuckerberg from Facebook, Napster's co-founder Sean Parker, and LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. Now, LinkedIn, for the record, is a who's who of business people in the nation. Why would he do this? Because he can get cheap technology help. That's why. Zuckerberg came out the other day and told Congress he's going to spend $50 million of his own money on advertisements, on advertisements that support members of Congress who back an immigration overhaul and to pressure those who are on the fence. Hey, folks, don't you smell that? Well, how do you support a member of Congress who backs an immigration overhaul and pressuring others who are on the fence? It's simple. You run private paid ads for those who will do what you tell them to do, and you run negative ads against those who say, I don't really care, Mark, your money doesn't influence me, I'm going to stand my ground. It's simple. This ain't rocket science, people. Science. So here's the problem. There's some 40 House Republicans that they have targeted. These are the influential voices within the House who were, for all intents and purposes, Tea Party candidates that came in 2010. Most of them are freshmen, right? So they're in there. They came in 2010 or 2012. And these are the ones who they want to convince to go to Boehner and approve immigration. Well, let's start out with this. Immigration goes nowhere unless, first and foremost, everything else halts until the border is sealed, verifiably and independently verified, not by the Department of Homeland Security, not by some congressman who's been co-opted and corrupted and coerced and has an axe to grind. I want the border sealed. America wants the border sealed. We've been claiming and crying for that for decades, America. We simply want the border sealed. It's not an impossible task, irrespective of how much they tell you it is. How do I know that? Because the border can be sealed with multiple fences The amount of boots on the ground that it would require. Listen, you've got 80,000 guys coming back from the war in Iraq and Afghanistan that have just been, they're combat-hardened veterans, and they've just been released so that the Pentagon and the Department of Defense can cut costs. So you've got an ample supply of people that are ready, willing, and able, need a job, and have the skill set to guard a border. You build 2 fences with a separation place in between. And in that separation place, in that separation window, the no man's land, if you will, you put in explosives. I mean, look, the simple truth is this. That's what this requires. And it's time that America took a stand to say our nation is sovereign and we are entitled to protect it. Then you institute a 6-month or a 12-month registration period. And it's very simple. You have this period of time in which to register, come forth, come out of the shadows and say, I am here, I came in illegally, I want to register, I want my name to be placed on the list of people to be dealt with by whatever immigration policy you come up with. Now, those who willingly register, okay, they go to the back of the line, for immigration, and they have to pay a fine and do all the other things that Congress, touts as the solution. We don't kick them out. We say, all right, you're here. We get it. You're going to have to pay a severe and stiff penalty to become a part of the fabric of this nation. But if you don't come out of the shadows, when we give you the chance, if you don't come forth and register, after that date expires, all bets are off. We owe you nothing. And you will be ejected. That's the teeth that makes them say, I guess I better come forward. It's not cruel. It's not inhumane. It's not a hate statement. It's simply the truth. If you don't have teeth behind the policy, it will never happen. They will not feel a motivation to come forth. So you say, you register within this window. If you do not register, you are subject to immediate deportation when we find you. That's it. Now the border's sealed. Now they've all registered. Now we can have any discussion that you want in Congress. Why won't Bill O'Reilly? Why won't Sean Hannity? Why won't Glenn Beck? Why won't Mark Levin talk about that? Why will they not put forth a united front to say immigration on the basis that Congress is trying to push it through is wrong for America, bad for our economy, bad for our workers, bad for the nation. And the first and foremost step is we stop the bleeding, we build a wall, multiple walls. Look, folks, don't buy the crap that we can't build a wall. I'll tell you exactly why. We have been guarding the demarcation line in North Korea with American troops for 60 years. Not a gnat gets through. So you can't tell me it can't be done. That line crosses the entire nation of Korea and separates the North from the South. And nothing has gotten through. So I don't buy the line that we can't do it, it's too big, it's too wide. It's not. It's only too big and too wide when you have a motivation that is other than the benefit of the United States of America. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is about one of the very, very few and limited real true functions of the federal government as constitutionally outlined. But they can't do that. They won't do that. They want to decide what kind of diaper your kid wears. They want to decide what you can eat for lunch. They want to decide how much air ought to be in your tires, how much health care you ought to buy, and at what cost it ought to be done. They want to dictate to you what you can build on your property and where and how and under what circumstances, but they won't do the one job that they are constitutionally mandated to do: protect and guard our borders. And I will leave it at that. We're going to take a break. When we return, we're going to take up our next topic, which is Obamacare and the premiums that are associated with it. Boy, the letters are coming fast and furious from insurance companies now. When you have an existing policy, people are seeing these staggering rises in their pricing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to go over some examples. I'm going to read you some information off of Blunt and McCaskill's actual Facebook pages and some of the anger within the discussions that are coming from their own constituents in my home state. We'll return in just a moment. You're listening to America's Voice Now. You can find us on the web by going to americasvoicenow.org. You can find us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/America's Voice Now. And then you can also find this and every other program that we do on YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We're going to return in just a few moments. Stick with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about this Obamacare premium issue. It's an important one, and I have to tell you, it affects every single American.